Hey guys, it's Danny. Today we are working with a vanilla orchid. Now, some of you might remember many years ago, I used to have a vanilla. I actually had a few cuttings that I received from a viewer. That vanilla is not with us anymore. I think it was my whole leca experiment that got it. It didn't make the thrip situation. Bottom line, it's not with us. I looked everywhere, I could not find it, it's not here. I lost it. So I thought, well, so many of you requested videos with vanilla orchids that I should have it again and maybe do better than I did last time. And here we are, I have a little vanilla vine. Now, this is a cutting, it is not a seedling or anything, it is a mature cutting of a different vine. Vanillas are vining orchids. They do not have pseudobulbs, they don't really look like many other orchids, and they're also, I think, hemiepiphytes is a good way of putting it. They do have a portion that is in the ground and they do have a portion that is epiphyte. It grows attached to the trees. Maybe at some point the portion that starts in the ground just completely disappears. I'm not entirely sure, but in our collections we typically plant it in a more water retentive medium. This one that I have here is potted in moss, which is great because I love moss and I will be placing it in moss as well, so theoretically we will not have setback. Although honestly with vanillas, the setback is not so bad. Even if it's there, you won't probably even notice it. Now, this is a typical green vanilla planifolia. I used to have a variegated one, but between you and me, the variegation is not so striking on the vanilla. I personally didn't even notice it at some point. So, you know what? I'm just gonna go for the green one. Typically, plants that are not variegated, they're green, they have more chlorophyll and they grow faster. So, I don't care much for the variegated version. I would rather have a strong and fast-growing vanilla because who knows, maybe we're gonna get flowers one day. Right, so without further ado, let's get potting. Today we're gonna pot this vanilla and yeah, just tell you a few things about vanillas that I learned from the past. Before we go and do that though, don't forget to give this video a like if you end up enjoying it, and why not subscribe? I post multiple times a week and it's completely free. Notice how there is no plugin glitching anymore. Sorry for last week. I had a plugin that was giving me headaches. Sometimes it was glitching, sometimes it wasn't, and it was glitching right when I stopped checking because I thought, oh, I fixed it. It's not glitching anymore. That's when it glitched. So sorry for last week. No more red screens. Where was I? Oh yeah. But if you're feeling a little extra, do consider further supporting the channel by becoming a member, checking out the affiliate links down below, checking out the merch, or using the super thanks option below my videos. Alrighty then, first and foremost, let us unpot the orchid. So when I received my cuttings 7 years ago or so, I potted them in soil and they actually did very well in soil. Truth be told though, I don't really like soil all that much. It's messy. I mean, if I have to pot a plant in soil, I will. But if I can... Oh, we don't have roots. Oh, did I break them? No, it was rotted. Right, so we don't have roots on this cutting, but it's okay. It's going to root. We already have some brand new roots forming here. I'll give you a close-up. So it's okay. Roots on vanillas actually start to grow from these nodes that you see on the opposite side. They have leaves. Well, those are the growth nodes, and you can have new growth or roots from those areas. So we need to pot this node. Right, so as I was saying, I'm not gonna go the route of soil anymore because it's a little messy and I can do okay with the vanilla in sphagnum moss. So we are going to use this pot. For now it should be okay. It's probably gonna grow pretty fast, but it's okay. After this I can just remove it together with the sphagnum moss and put it into a bigger pot because in 6 months to a year the sphagnum moss will not go bad. So for now, we're gonna use this pot, not because we don't have roots, but because I don't actually have a decorative pot for this size, which I would have used. But I have a decorative pot for this one, so that's as deep as it goes. If you know me, you know that I do not care much about the pot size, because I know how to manage things inside. I only care about the space it takes pretty much. But in this situation, I don't have all that I need. So I will make sure to bury this particular node here that has the root. Not because the roots will not grow in the air, they absolutely will, but because I cannot hydrate them. It would mean spraying them a few times a day, and I just don't have time to do that. Whereas if I put it in the medium, it's going to collect the moisture in the medium, so I don't need to water it all that often. Hence why it is a good idea to pot these cuttings, even though they can actually do good mounted as well. No need for potting mixes or soil or things of the sort. You just need to have time to water the mount. Now there's another benefit to using pots. If you want a trellis, do you guys remember the trellis that I kind of DIY'd? Me and DIY, why do I think that I can do something functional? I DIY'd a sort of a trellis from some stakes and it looked horrible. And then I put cocoa coir on that trellis and it looked even worse. I'm not gonna do that this year. Just kind of do something else. But if you have a nicer looking trellis, if you have a pot, you can actually place that trellis in the pot, kind of like Hoyas, right? It does look a little like a Hoya. So you can use those types of trellises and pots, make it easy to anchor the trellis. Now, personally, I will not be using a trellis, or at least not yet. I want to see what happens if I just let it attach or actually grow on my Visto shelves. I might regret it, but rather than me buying a trellis or DIYing a trellis, which will look horrible, and then running out of a trellis because these guys grow big, just gonna let it grow on my Visto shelves, on the frames. Why not? Let's see what happens. I still have these hooks that are magnetic, so I can put the hooks on the frame of the Visto shelf and pin the vine to these hooks. I mean, in my mind, it looks good. We'll see if it works like that in reality as well. And because it will become very hard to spray this plant against pests, we are going to be using the insecticide sticks from Celaflor. If you don't know what I'm doing and what this product is, check the description below. I have an entire video talking about this and my experience with it. I don't use it for a whole lot of time, but in these past few months that I've been using this insecticide, it worked pretty well. Now in the past, I wanted to do this with my Hoyas, but I decided against it because of pests, because of me being unable to then removing them from the wall or from the shelf and spray them outside. So I always try to put them on trellises. But with this type of insecticide, which is just a stick that goes into the medium, I don't need to detach them to spray them. So if this works out, then I don't need to detach it from the Visto shelf. Other than that, in my experience, the vanillas are not really hard to grow at all. They do enjoy bright light, and I will make sure that I place this close to the southern wall, but it should have light from the grow lights as well. They don't like to dry out all that much, hence why I'm using sphagnum moss, and some people use even soil. And also they climb. They have aerial roots which will attach to stuff such as the wall, and probably for me they will attach to the Visto shelf, which is fine, it's easy to clean. And if you have it potted in a pot like this, it's not necessary to spray it. If you'd like, you can spray the roots and the orchid itself, but it's not really necessary if you have it potted and you have roots in the pot. Right, so I'm pretty much done with it. Time to put the top layer, which is going to be bark. And yeah, that's really about it. Many of you guys asked me about the vanilla, and actually there isn't much to say about it. It's not a difficult plant to grow as long as you can give it moisture and bright light. It should be okay with whatever temperature. It's not one of those orchids that requires dormancy or a break from fertilizer or from watering or things of the sort. It doesn't lose its leaves, it's not deciduous. The only thing it does is climb. Think of it as a Hoya, pretty much, that can accept a little bit brighter light. Now, could we harvest the seed pods and make some homemade vanilla? I don't know. There is a process that I don't know if I'm willing to do. There is a process of aging or preparing the seed pods, which is what gives the vanilla flavor in cakes and other foods and drinks. But you know, I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I'm looking forward to the flowers though, because I hear they also smell like vanilla. That's so wrong to say. A vanilla flower smells like vanilla. Shocker. What I was trying to say is that the flowers do smell like the prepared seed pod. At least that's what I heard. I never got mine to bloom, so I'm very curious. Now I'm just gonna water this, make a tag because it did not arrive with the tag. By the way, vanillas are very, 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 very common. I got mine from Orchid Garden? No. Secret Garden. I always get them confused. It's not expensive. Maybe the variegated version might be a little bit more expensive. My honest advice is to go for the green one because the variegation, you barely see it. And I think the green one is more vigorous. It's kind of logical to be. So if you find it for sale, but it's kind of very expensive, check multiple sellers or actually reputable nurseries in your area. There's always that seller that wants to make a profit due to FOMO or something. This is not a rare orchid. It's very common. It propagates so easily with cuttings, and when you have a mature and established one, it grows really fast as well. There's no reason for it to be expensive. The demand is not even that big, to be fully honest, because it's not this wonderful decorative plant. You know, we grow it just because it's vanilla, and you know, it's a vanilla. Pretty much that's it. It's, to be fully honest with you guys, I don't find it that interesting. But I'm very curious to see the flowers. If you're interested in a vanilla plant, do some research in your area. It should not be expensive. And I think that's about it. I hope I was in the frame with everything. Short and sweet today. I'll keep you up to date with the vanilla, but it's really nothing to it. Think of it as a Hoya. Think of it as a terrestrial plant. Put it in soil if you want. Put it in sphagnum moss if you want. I think some people grow it in semi-hydro as well. Not sure about bark. Let me know if you guys have a Hoya just in bark and what environment you have. I don't think you can get away with it in bark in a very hot and dry environment. I think it does need more moisture. And yeah, for now, I'm gonna let it be like this. I'm not gonna attach it to my shelf. It's too tiny. I'm gonna let it grow a little bit more. And we're gonna do another video probably when I'm gonna attach it to the shelf. Right, so for today, that is about it. I'll make sure to add some videos of my previous, I'm calling it a Hoya, my previous vanilla. I don't know if they're, I'll be honest, I don't know if they're very interesting. It's pretty much just me failing at making trellises and thinking, oh, I did something. That's what my old videos on the vanilla were. Really, it's one of those orchids that is just, it grows. It doesn't really require much except from water and light, and of course fertilizer, but it will be very interesting to see if it climbs the shelf. I think it's also more prone to blooming if it climbs on something rather than leaving it be pendant, which I know some people do. I don't know, we'll see. But for today, that is about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. The vanilla is back. I know many of you were curious about it. I hope these videos will be entertaining. And if I have an update at a later date, I'll put it in the pinned comment of this video. Right, so for today, that is it. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.